It's all about how motivated you are to do stuff. This is not an easy sport.
Hello and welcome to the NoShortcuts Podcast, a talk in which we invite individuals and unravel their cycling stories. Today, we have a very special guest with us. His name is synonymous in the cycling industry, with 40 years of rich cycling experience and being born in a family of cyclists. He was practically born listening to the free her body and with cycling rhythm in his heart. Cycling runs in his blood, and he has seen the cycling, what happened in the 1980s to what it is today, the entire evolution of Indian cycling. He has earned a lot of respect through his double Masters champion and also multiple national times track cycling champion. He's none other than Aastad Palkhiwalla. We are very excited to be here in Lonavala at Aastad's home, where he lives and trains for the past couple of years. And let's hope you enjoy the show.
We're rising high. Legends don't stop till they reach the sky.
No shortcuts.
It's about the work. No easy wins. Just a focused mind.
No shortcuts.
The journey runs deep.
No shortcuts.
Now hear them rise.
Aastad, welcome to the No Shortcuts Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us at this beautiful place in Lonavala.
You are always
today.
welcome.
It's so nice to, finally meet you in person. We all have seen you, in your images on Facebook, but it's so nice to see you finally in person.
Oh, thank you very much. And thanks for coming.
No, it's our pleasure. And now before we talk about anything else, first, take us back to your early days. We want to know everything about your childhood, and how you used to train, all about your journey.
Okay, I basically, like you said, from a cycling family. Both my parents were national champions in cycling. And my sister too. She's 1 year younger to me. I started, actually I was doing athletics in school. Then I developed a very bad heel spur, which actually was good in a way that I came back to cycling because my dad encouraged me with all sports, but he was saying, yeah, athletics is a good sport if you feel like doing it. So I came to cycling. I started training in about 84. 85 was the first time I competed in the juniors under 14 category in the state. I became state champion. There used to be two events in the under 14, won both of them. Mm-hmm. And cycling was very different in those days. My dad used to come, my dad was still racing when I started. And so he used to be on his bicycle, I used to be on my bicycle. We used to train together at Marine Drive. Mm-hmm. So it was a different, the traffic was less, everything was very much different. We had a velodrome in Bombay. So that's how I started. Okay. Racing was on the velodrome in Bombay, which was great at NSCI Worli. Mm-hmm. The velodrome was there, which sadly no longer exists. So that's how I started off. And then it just got better and better from there. Thanks to my parents.
Tell us a little bit more about your father. I mean, when did he get into cycling? And
my dad was a national champion in swimming too. Uh-huh. So he was a breaststroke national champion in swimming. He used to play water polo also. Uh-huh. He has represented Maharashtra and Indian Railways in both cycling and swimming. He was a national champion in cycling also. So he has represented Maharashtra in Railways and Maharashtra in both swimming and cycling. So he was a multi-talented guy. And he came from a very low middle class background. So, there were a lot of, you could say, constraints to what he could do. But he always told us, if you work hard, you can achieve. My dad was an engineer himself. He was aviation engineer. So he became a flight engineer. So he used to fly. The older airplanes had 3 people in the cockpit. So 2 pilots and an engineer. So he was the engineer. So he flew for Air India for maybe 35 years, maybe. And I just lost him. We just lost him in the end of August through cancer. And he was a big influence. He was our coach, financer, mechanic, everything. Because we totally depended on him. Dad would come with us on the bicycle. Once we became faster, he would come on the scooter with us. We had a Vespa scooter. So he would come on the scooter with us. And mom was also very much involved with our activities. We have seen our mom racing. She was racing after even giving birth to both of us. She must have raced till we were about maybe 8 or 9 or something like that. So we have seen everybody racing in the family. My uncle, Mr. Daruwala, also was a cyclist, national champion. my mom's, my granny's brother, that is my mom's mama. He was Pilu Sarkari. He was also multiple national champion and he represented India at the 1948 Olympics in cycling. First Olympics as independent India. And at the World Championships also that I think the World Championships were in Amsterdam that year, if I'm not mistaken. So we got a good lineage, we grew up with cyclists around us. That time there was no TV or anything. We used to just get inspired from magazines or old magazines. Somebody would give you cycling magazines, look at those pictures, look at the pictures of dad, mom. We saw them racing. So that is how we started off.
Right. I think your dad has sacrificed a lot.
Lots.
Right.
Absolutely. Lot of stuff.
Right.
Means no social life. And he would tell us, if you show interest, I'll do whatever you want. Two things you got to do. You have to show interest and you got to study. If these two things you do, I'll do everything else for you.
Right.
So my dad has done a lot.
And the blood of cycling, it runs not only from my father's side, but also from my mother's side.
Yeah.
The athletic genes, the sport genes were in you and your sister.
Actually, my dad, if you see, yes, definitely that's there. But if you see my dad's side, which my dad used to do 2 sports at the national level. And he had got no sporting genes from him. I think it's all how much you're motivated, how much you want to work hard. Yeah, talent is important, but I think the guy who works the hardest, I think comes up.
That's true. Rafael Nadal just retired day before yesterday, and his uncle was with him, Tony Nadal, and he took his career and he made what he is today. He played a big role. Similarly, I think your family, your dad played a huge part.
Huge, massive. Otherwise, we wouldn't have where we are. Not only in cycling, even in life. We could have gone astray in the way, so many kids, they've gone into sports and they have left their studies. And so we were put on the right track. And whatever we are today is because of my parents.
True. Absolutely. And so when you were born, and as you were growing up, did your dad always tell you to play sports? Because he was such a sports freak and always used to play. Did he also show you sports, or also did you try a few other things and then you picked
Actually,
up
never
sport?
had to tell us because we were just born in that environment.
Right.
Actually, that time the Bombay racing scene was very good.
Okay.
My mom and dad, as I remember as a kid, every Sunday, as soon as you got up, you knew you were going to a race.
Right.
Okay, every Sunday from starting from October, September, October, all the way to end
Every
of May or
weekend
June.
you had a race.
Every weekend there was a race.
God.
So we were sure of getting up in the morning and going for a race. We were just small toddlers at that time. So we were all ready. Dad and mom used to both race. My uncle used to race. Means my mom's sister's husband, Mr. Daruwala. So they all racing, and we were all around surrounded by cyclists, and we would go to the races, and there used to be races over there. In fact, I have also participated in a tricycle race in 76 or something. I got a small paper cutting of that. I came second. Never came first. So we used to know riders like Ashok Khale, who passed away a couple of years back. He was also he was also national champion on the road. So riders like that. A lot of Parsis were involved in cycling at that time. Lots of Parsis. It was full of Parsis at that time. So it was a very good environment. We used to have races on Marine Drive, Oval, then that Lotus Cinema circuit.
Correct. So the old Bombay, it looks very different than what it is today.
Absolutely. Totally different world.
Right.
Can you imagine having a race every weekend?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's not even what, even if you go to Bangalore, you have races every fortnight. But every weekend, that too in a city like Mumbai, something.
And some of the people used to ride on a fixed wheel bike with a single brake.
Oh.
So it was that great.
Bombay was. It was a typical Sunday morning thing. Like, today we'll
typical
go
Sunday morning
and watch dad race, So it was a typical family.
We used to cry a lot when my mom used to go to race. I don't know why. So the funniest part about it was that one day mom said quietly, she went for the race. She never wanted the kids to cry. And she had a pretty big crash.
Oh.
So I guess the crying was lucky for her.
Right.
When dad would race, we would not cry. But when mom would go for the race, both of us would be sobbing.
And would your sister cry when something would happen to dad?
No. We both were sobbing when only mom went.
Okay. Nice. So that was up till the age of, what age?
Mom must have competed till we were about 7-8 years old, if I can remember correctly. Then mom stopped.
Okay.
Dad continued. Dad was racing till about 86, 87. He was racing till that time. And then he was concentrating on us then.
So 86, how old were you?
When I started training, I must have been about 12.
Okay.
It was all good. Track was very important for us. And I was basically a track rider. I became a track rider.
So now tell us about, what equipment you used to use, what bikes, because in today's day and age, getting a tube, getting a frame is very easy. At a click of a button, you can get it delivered at your doorstep. But how was it back then?
Oh, it was terrible. You break one bolt on your bike and your season could end over there if you don't have a spare, because nothing was available. Absolutely nothing. Nobody ever made them in India. You got them from abroad. You got them from somebody who wants to sell. Maybe somebody would sell it to you for 5 times the price, 10 times the price. You just paid for it, or you tried some, Indian ingenuity. You tried to do something.
Yeah, like a jugaad.
Indian jugaad. So, things were very, very difficult. I started racing. Actually, all my career, which I won even my national medals, were all on my dad's bike. So, they were all steel Reynolds 531 tubing, steel lugged frames. Nothing special. Yes, we had a disc wheel which we used, my dad had bought from the Russian coach. It was a Russian-made disc wheel. It was made in one of those aircraft factories in Russia. So no brand or anything like that. And we raced in... initially, we started off... Dad had his Bob Jackson, which I ultimately started using, won my nationals on. But he would not give us the good equipment till we proved. We raced on very, very old bikes. I started racing on a Claude Butler, which was made in the late 40s, early 50s. All steel... tubing, all steel, of course it was a steel tubed bike, all steel fitting on it with a quarter pin chain set and steel handlebar, steel extension, everything steel, heavy as hell. So that and the wheels were like, we used to have sprint wheels. We used to use tubulars, so sprint wheels, and those sprint wheels were made somewhere in the 40s and they were wooden inserts. The rims were actually made of bamboo and they were covered with aluminum on it. I still have those wheels.
Okay.
So Dad would say, okay, you perform, you get this timing, not win. You get this timing in this event because we were on the track. And then he would upgrade our equipment, give us better equipment.
Right.
So if you don't perform, you don't get it.
In spite of so many challenges around the equipment, still the sport was thriving.
Yes, because the organization was better. I think the most important thing, we had the track. We used to have the track state championships, which was a big occasion for us every year, annually, which was the selection for the nationals. So we had all the events. The team was selected for the nationals from there. So it was it was organized better than what it is now. I can say that. And plus the availability, the association was in Bombay. In fact, at one point, even the CFI was in Bombay. And we lost out and then it went, that was much before my time. CFI was in Bombay, was run by Bombayites. And the Maharashtra Cycling Association was in Bombay till I think 1993. And then the association moved to Pune.
The Cycling Association moved from Mumbai to Pune.
Mumbai to Pune.
Yeah, and then we moved to how you used to train in those days.
Okay, when we started off, we used to train mostly because we used to do track racing most of the time. I used to do track racing. So we used to train on track bikes. Single brake, fixed wheel. Because on the track there are no brakes allowed and you use a fixed wheel. So, but on the road you require a single brake. So we used to train on the track bike, single speed track bike, fixed wheel, one brake, and mostly on marine drive. Training was mostly on marine drive. No bike computers, no nothing. We used to count the power meter was not even envisioned. No speed. We used to not know anything. We used to know the distance of the lap. So the lap which we used to do at Marine Drive was about 6 kilometers.
Okay.
And then we used to train as lamppost to lamppost. Sprint interval training was 3 lamppost sprint or 2 lamppost sprint, 2 lamppost rest.
Yeah.
So that is how we used to train.
Amazing. I mean,
all on field, basically. All on field.
Yeah, all on field. Everything was on field.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bike and you, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, right. So now walk us through your entire, cycling, the competitive cycling that you did. At the age of 13, you won your first.
Yeah, at the age of 13, I won my first state championships under 14. Then I had a gap of about a year or so because I think 14 we shifted to the new house and 15 was my 10th. So I did not compete. Then then from the age of 15 towards the end of the year, was my first year in the under 18 and I competed in the men open also. But sadly what happened was I had qualified for all the finals for the under 18 and the men open. And one day before in one of the events I had a crash and I broke my right collarbone on the track. So I couldn't compete in those finals. But in 1990 in December, the state championships happened again. Actually what had happened was the state championships were delayed. So in 1990 we basically had 2 state championships. One in March, which was actually the 89 one, in which I crashed. And then in December was the second state championships in which I won all my under 18 events. And I won the sprint, time trial and the mass start in the men open. So I was only 16 years. I've just turned 16 on the 8th of December and I think this must have been about 5-6 days after that. And I won the men open. And after that I continued winning continuously without without any break till 2002. So about 12 years straight I won all my men's events on the track. And of course I was doing under 18 also at the same time till I was under 18.
Right.
I was basically a sprinter, so I started doing the sprint time trial and mass starts events were on my main events on the track. And then in 94, I decided to do the 4-kilometer individual pursuit.
Okay.
Which is a roadman's event on the track. You see guys like Ghana and all those guys riding the pursuit now. So it's basically for a road rider, it's an endurance track event if you can call it.
Right.
So initially people are very skeptical that nahi yaar, you're a sprinter and you won't be able to. And I broke the state record in the first meet only, which was there for I think about 10 or 12 years. I think Kerman Framna was holding the state record. But to Kerman's credit, he had done it on the Bombay track, which was a much more windier track. Then I did it on the Pune track, which was almost new in 94, which was brand new in 94. Of course, the track was not that great, but it was new. So, of course, to Kerman's credit, that was. But then I kept on improving, and every pursuit I was improving, and I kept on breaking my record. Every year I used to keep on breaking my record. And that's how it happened till 2002. I met Sherry in 2003? 2002 I met Sherry, then we got...
Tell us how you met a little bit because...
how I met. Okay. So we were just my friend wanted to do some fun on the computer. So he said, okay, we'll put our profiles. And there was a website, matrimonial kind of a website for Parsis. So he says, we'll just put our profile in with wrong names and see how many hits we get. So that's why I put some wrong name, my friend put some wrong name, and we were all counting the hits. And she responded to me. She was in Dubai. She was working for Danata in Dubai at that time. My in-laws are in Dubai. So I was chatting with her, only text, not voice chatting or anything. No video, though, it was very far away. Only text chatting with her on the computer with the wrong name. So, and then I told my mom, they said, no, you should not chat like this with somebody, you should tell her. So I told her the real name, and then we had not seen each other. We have not seen each other's profiles also, means no pictures or anything we have seen.
Oh, it's only
we are
name,
just only on the name.
Okay.
So we were chatting, and then I got pulled out. I went on a flight to Abu Dhabi. She was working at Dubai airport, so I took a cab from Abu Dhabi, went to Dubai, and so that's how I met her for the first time. She was sitting at the counter at the airport.
But how did you recognize her? You've not seen a picture and anything?
Nothing. So I kept on asking people, and then I saw a name tag.
Oh my God. Okay, that's crazy.
So we got married. We got married in 2003. My son was born we got married Jan 2003. My son was born in October. He's Gandhiji's 2nd October 2003. And my son got brain damaged at birth. It was a doctor's mistake. So he got brain damaged. And he was in a pretty critical condition. So we were all just in very bad shape. We went through, because he was just into ICU, directly from the delivery table into the baby ICU. He made it through. He pulled through. Then we started therapy. At the age of 2 or 3 months, we started something known as early intervention. So we were doing therapy with him. So, we were all busy with him. I was not competing at all. I was flying had increased at that time. I was already flying in Air India since 97. So flying had increased. And then there was a gap of about 10 years or so from competing.
You were all your energies were focused
all
towards your
my
son.
energies are focused on him.
Everything, your entire family
Flying
is
and
everything.
entire families, parents, we, Cherry,
Everything.
no chutti, no
Yeah.
vacation, no nothing.
Yeah.
We never missed a single day of therapy, but because of that, he's doing very well now compared to what he was. So he's a very happy child. He's 21 years old now. Very happy guy, very friendly guy, much more taller than me, almost 6 foot tall. So he's doing pretty well. Of course, in between, I won before 2002, I won the inter-university in 92. I won the inter-university. Then I won my national medals in the pursuit and the time trial in Trivandrum in, I think it was the year 2000 I won. So I had done that. Chhatrapati Award came along in 97. So got the Chhatrapati Award in 97. Sister and me, both of us got it at the same time, same year.
That's a big prestigious award.
Yeah, so quite a prestigious award. And I think we were the first brother and sister to get it in the same year. So the thing was in Nagpur, the award ceremony. So all those things happened, and then I decided to come back to racing. I was always riding.
Before we go there, I would like to interject here and say that those 10 years, when the son was born, and it might have been a very difficult phase for your entire family. And you need strong support systems in such a time. You were flying and you were, on the go. I'm sure your wife played a huge role.
Yes, definitely. And my parents. Because my parents, my mom, dad, everybody, all the energies were just directed towards him.
Yeah.
And he responded very well to the treatment. We were told initially from his initial CT scans, both the lobes of the brain are damaged. He would be like a vegetable if the child survives that too. He's absolutely is moving, doing everything all right. He loves to ride the rollers. He rides the roller, not the rollers, the stationary trainer, because he's got a balancing problem. So he rides the stationary trainers. He's a very active child, very strong guy, big guy. So he has made a lot of progress. He's in fact given his 10th standard through an NIOS program. So nobody can make out that this is the same guy if you see what his reports were when he was born. So he has done a miraculous thing. Thanks to my parents, my wife, everybody, we sacrificed a lot. So it worked out well. My daughter was born in 2009. So she's now 15. So the things were going around. Things became better. The things started cooling down. So then I decided to start racing again.
If you're hooked till now, I'm sure you're enjoying the show. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button or follow the No Shortcuts Podcast on Spotify or on the Epilogue Media app, Apple Podcasts and any other streaming platform. So you came back, you were out of the racing scene for like almost a decade.
Yeah.
Right. And then
2012 was my first race back. So it was under 10 years straight.
10 years straight, yeah. And earlier you were a track cyclist.
Yeah.
And from a track cyclist, you moved to become a road cyclist, And after such a big gap, and so much happened in the family, I'm sure, your friends played a huge part in getting you back out on the road.
Of course, definitely. See, it's like I can say second phase of the cycling career.
Chapter 2.
So chapter 2. So I started coming back to racing, and then I was not allowed to compete in the track because you're above 35 and some sort of rule was passed and I don't know what was going on. So I just said, okay, just let it be. Then my friends, Pankaj Marlesha, then Francis, all those boys, Robin, they're the group of boys. Pankaj used to race with me. So he's much junior to me, age-wise. He's about 7 years younger to me. So Pankaj was very, very instrumental in saying, no, you can race. If they don't let you race or what, we'll go somewhere else and race. There are a lot of races happening now. In Nashik, there's happening. There are races happening in Ahmedabad. So the first race I did was a individual time trial at the BKC circuit, which was in 2012. Kerman Framna called me. Kerman, whose club I used to ride for from Pune. He called me and said, Aastad, we are holding a time trial. Why don't you come and ride? You're training, so why don't you come and ride? Right. Because Kerman tried to get me an entry into Bombay Pune just for the sake of it. So they had refused that entry also. Right. So I remember I was in Lonavala at that time. We had come for a vacation. So he said, "Well, I'll go back to Bombay," and I did ride. I rode in the elite category and I finished second. Oh. And I'm riding with guys who I don't even know because
after 10 years, huh?
After 10 years. First race after 10 years. I came second straight away in the elite category. Yeah. So, and I don't know any of these guys, because all these guys were new to me, all youngsters, man, all 20 years, 18, 20 years. So that's how it started off. And then Pankaj kept on pushing, do this, do that. And you know how it is. Got back to training and I enjoyed it. Basically, it was. It's just not physical. It's also keeps your mind at ease. When I ride, I don't worry about anything else. I'm always in a good mood after I do a good training session. So it was great. It was great coming back. I felt as if I was maybe 15 years younger that time. Or now if I do it, I'll say 30 years younger I am.
How much you miss cycling, you know? And when you came back, it was back to square one.
And the good thing was, with God's grace, everything happened. You know, people supported me. Equipment was available.
Suddenly everything.
Pagare, don't worry about this. I'll get it for you. Don't worry, Arey, we can order it. We can do. I said, what? You can order it in India? Yeah. With my bike shop, you can get everything you want. So you know, it was like that, and things worked out very well. Things worked out. Of course, a lot of support from my friends. And family also. Sherry, my wife, encouraged me all the time. Arey, do it. I would sometimes say, hey, yaar, who will go to Ahmedabad? And initially I was thinking, who will go to Ahmedabad and race, man? I don't know how it's going to be. No, you go once and just see how it happens. It was great. Sugar free we did. Used to do a time trial on Saturday. We used to do a road race on Sunday. Won that for about 2 years. 2 years I won both the events. And then unfortunately, it never happened after COVID. So those kind of events had started. You know, first big event I did was the Nasik Peloton. It's a team event, team of 3. We won that. Twice I won it, 2 years straight, and finished third the third year. So
you might have feeling very relieved. Like, you know, I used to win earlier. After a gap, I'm again winning.
Yeah, and it was good. It was good. You know, it was very good.
Yeah, no, it feels so good to get the taste of, you know, winning.
Yeah, the taste of winning. You forget about that feeling. You know, once you then it's just addictive. Once you start getting it back, now you want to do more.
Yes. So what do you first, you know, participated in sub 14, then sub 18?
16, I never participated under 16 because by that time my 10th and everything was there. So under 14, under 18, elite. We never used to have under 23 category. The moment you get 18, you're in the elite. Open category, as they used to call it.
And then you came into the Masters later on.
Masters later on, twice. Much later on. Masters. Actually, they did the nationals twice in Bangalore. Second one was in Mysore. The first time in Bangalore, I won both my time trial and the road race. They had I think 25 kilometer time trial, 80 kilometer road race. I won both of them. Next year, I wanted to defend my title. I was on the way to Mysore by road, and those floods happened. And it used to be in the rainy season. It used to be in July, and because Bangalore is the racing season at that time. So, and I could just reach by road till Kolhapur. And the highway was shut by the army. I stayed in a hotel next to the highway for 3 days for the highway to open up. But I had to return back. So I missed that chance. And then the Masters Nationals have not happened after that.
Right.
We always get the news that CFI is going to do the Nationals.
For the Masters category, but it doesn't happen.
Nothing is
right.
as of now sure. But I got no complaining about the racing. Then WSSM happened. WSSM series
in Pune. Yeah.
I raced the whole series in 2018-19. I won that series. I won all the 3 categories. They had a overall category, a sprinters category, and a climbers category. I won all the 3. And it was great. Very well organized. All passionate people doing the stuff. So it was great. And it was a series. So you're always going back to it. We used to race one race a month. So it was about 6 races, series of 6 races, which had a good combination. 2 time trials they had. One was a time trial which went up the Katraj, not the main ghat, the tunnel and everything. So it was a climbing time trial, the first one. One time trial was a flat time trial. And then they had one hilltop finish, and they had one other race in which we had to climb a big climb in the beginning of the race. So it was a varied thing, and I got a very good experience. I rode it, I enjoyed it. And Siddharth was heading WSSM. So great job by them. So I rode WSSM series, about 5-6 races of theirs. Then I used to, once the COVID happened, after that, the first race I did was again a WSSM. It was a time trial at Panchit. Like, won that. So I got quite a couple of races. I was not complaining.
Right. So in so many years of racing, pull out one story which you fondly remember, that I was in pursuit, I had to chase a bunch, and I, finally won it. Tell us something.
Oh, I'll tell you something about the track. In 95, 94 I went to the US to do my flying, to get my commercial license. So 94 I got the license. So I had not sat on a bike for 6 months. So then I trained for just a month, and still somehow defended my state titles. And then that was March 94 or 95, sorry. So I came back in December end, exactly on New Year's Day I came back to India. I trained for about 2 months and that was it. Then 95 November, they had the state Olympics. So it was a big occasion, all sports, and it was very well publicized and all that. And both my sister and my dad got malaria. Both of them got malaria. And it was not sure whether we'll go, we'll not go, we'll go, we'll not go. I was training only on the rollers. No road training at all. Only on the rollers. So dad, you know how he's a fighter. My sister also is a big fighter. So we'll go.
Both having malaria still?
No, means they had just recovered, but they were damn weak.
Of course.
So my sister, I remember, she would just puke after training, a little bit of training, hard training and all that. So we went. And I landed up creating, I had 5 events of mine on the track. I won all 5 golds. I landed up breaking 3 state records. Those were all my records only. I landed up breaking 3 state records. And my sister, with her condition, she won all 4 events of hers, all gold.
Complete sweep.
No, actually one event I was not allowed to participate was the road time trial, which I was not allowed to participate. So I couldn't do anything, but rest of it was a complete sweep. And my dad was also not well, but by the end of the meet, it was like 9 medals in the same home. Out of the 10, 9 golds coming to the same home.
Unbelievable. I mean, in such,
It was not a challenge for me. It was a challenge for them because dad was also very weak. Both of them, I don't know how they did it.
No, that is the true spirit of a champion, Whatever the circumstances may be, they will rise.
You could have
the
just
occasion.
told me, no, we are not in any shape.
Yeah.
He said, no, you should not get afraid. Let's go. We'll do it.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's see what happens. And I was only on with roller training. Nothing. I had not. The last I did a road session was in maybe March or April. And after that, I was only on rollers because the monsoon was there. And it happened. And they started getting sick. Yeah. It must have been, it was in November beginning, October end. So the monsoons were still out, in and out.
This trait of your father and also that your sister imbibed, what are the character traits or, values that you have got from him, which you practice in your life today?
Hard work, perfection, and always I'm very critical about myself. So I won't go for a race if I know I'm 100% going to win. But if I am not happy with my training, I just won't go and ride it. I just wouldn't go. People would say, 100%, you'll ride it with one leg, you'll win it. No. Because it's not the question of winning and losing, it's question of everything is self-satisfaction. Nobody is going to give you $1 million for winning a race. But it's what you feel after that. Na? If you won a race without being properly prepared, that's what I think about it that way. Dad was also a perfectionist, hardworking, never give up kind of attitude.
And from your mom's side?
Mom is the same. Never said no, never afraid. You fall, you used to crash on the track, bloody skin hanging here and there. I remember in the 1990 Delhi Nationals, it was my first Nationals. It was in Delhi, Christmas time, December, it was bloody cold. The cold wave had hit Delhi. And in the sprint semi-final, the guy who was riding with me was actually very much overage. He was riding under 18 when he was already employed with the railways for the last 3 years. So you can imagine. So the guy, and he had got a bronze in the Asian. Sprint is an event in which you have a best of 3. So there are 3 rides. And the guy who wins 2 of them moves ahead. So it was a semi-final. So it's like a boxing match. Only 2 people come and clash. So in the sprint, I remember the first ride, he was so overconfident with me and I beat him. And the second ride, when I went to overtake him, he just took his hand out and he just pushed me. And I crashed. Crashed means I crashed so badly, I must have gone 50, 70, 60 meters just because we were dragged. Because I fell at high speed. And all my skin had come out from my right hand side. I had lost all the skin and it was damn cold. It must be 2-3 degrees in Delhi. They never even allowed me, they should have disqualified him. They did not do that. They never even allowed me to take first aid. So my dad, he put my shorts with my skin like that, put masking tape on it and said, okay, now go and ride. Nothing will happen. And it went into a photo finish. They never gave the decision for 3 hours and then they decided and they gave him the ride.
Oh, this is very unfortunate,
So
and
it's
this is,
unfortunate, but my dad was never afraid. It was not like, you have crashed badly. No, nothing happens.
Correct.
That first aid guy is screaming at them. Let me give him at least first aid. No, if you don't come on the line now, you'll be disqualified.
I think
So my dad said, now you've fallen once. Now don't worry. Now just go and ride, man. Do whatever you want to do.
he's your dad. He's built warriors, not delicate darlings. I mean,
No, because he went through very tough times. Na. In life, he has had a lot of tough times. If people said, you can't do it. You can't do this. You can't do that. So he had to fight every step of his life. He fought.
But such valor and courage is only found in people who enter the army or fight for the country.
No, my dad wanted to join the Navy actually because he was the first President Scout of India. They used to have King Scouts before that. After that, when it became President Scout, he was the first President Scout of India. He led the Jamboree in Delhi, and he wanted to join the Navy, but from his family side there was no support. No, you will have this. They would never not let him swim, because my dad as a child was very weak. Even if you see water in a tub, you would start feeling giddy. You can imagine that boy becoming a national champion in swimming. So he was so weak, and he was a sickly child. So you can't blame my grandparents also, because they were afraid. They were never no sportsmen, and that even a tub of water, if he stares into it, he'll start feeling giddy. So he became a national champion in swimming. So those things. He wanted to join the Navy. He was very keen, but he wanted to fly. He did his flying. Actually, he got his private pilot's license also. There was no money, so he had taken a loan from one of the Parsi trust. And the trust halfway stopped the loan. So he could not complete his commercial license. So then he became an engineer. Then he became a flight engineer. So ultimately he flew what he wanted to do. And ultimately I flew, so he was happy.
So amidst all of your cycling and, training, competing, you're also pilot. You've flown the Jumbo and you're a licensed pilot. You've been with Air India for close to 25 years.
Yeah.
Walk us through that entire journey of seeing your dad as a airline engineer and also as a cyclist. You picked it up from him, and today you've built on that legacy, and earned your respect.
Yeah, it's all about how motivated you are to do stuff. We used to fly. So on the flights, I would use the gym, ride the stationary bike, do weight training, take care of myself, take maximum rest. So what I used to do was, because I had never had much time, so it was quality, not quantity, quality training. So when I sat on my bike, I made sure I never wasted a second. I'm doing something to reach some goal. I'm not just riding around and not just, doing time pass, because I never had that much of time. Trainers, we used to do the trainer, because you would come from a flight, you would fly the whole night, reach home at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I would sleep the day, and get up in the afternoon, evening rider session. So, you had to match, if I had a very active social life and I want to go out and I want to have late nights, wouldn't have been possible.
And not only for you, but even your sister.
But that's all voluntary. Yeah?
Correct.
That's all voluntary. That's what I love to do, and that's what I liked to do. So
Correct.
that's how I did it.
That makes so much sense. I mean, it's a round-the-clock thing. It's not just your cycling piece.
But it has to come in from your side. Otherwise,
within.
you will never be able to do it. Never. Yeah, you can do hobby riding, or you can do maybe for fitness purposes. But when you have to be, and my attitude is totally different. I might come last in a race, but if I'm satisfied that I'm totally prepared for the race, I'll go. I don't mind. I don't care about the result, basically.
Becoming a pilot is no easy thing. It's a proper training. You go to a flying school, you do the course, you come back. You also have to go to the, the simulation classes and everything. So
first of all, getting a job. In our time, 2 years jobless, no jobs were available.
Yeah.
So you're just giving interviews everywhere, willing to fly for free. So you have to keep your license current every day. Every year you are spending 10-12,000 bucks just to keep your license current, because you have to fly a couple of hours to keep your license current. So 2 years we never had a job. We got the Air India job. Everywhere it's not just like an interview. You do a written exam, and then you clear the written exam, then you go for the interviews. Then sometimes some places they used to have those group discussions, just like that MBA kind of a thing. Na? So they used to have testing, medicals. Then the final thing comes down to the medicals. Then the Air India does a very extensive 4-5 day medical on you. So because they want to see, because they're going to spend money on you for your training, for your conversion to the bigger aircraft.
Now cycling and aviation, they are poles apart. Of course, there's speed and there's the thrill about both the sports. But is there any correlation that you draw among both of them?
Aerodynamics. No, it's they are. But if you see the tech, what all is coming into cycling, what you see the teardrop shape and the aerofoil and what we talk about nowadays, it's all aviation. What else you're talking about?
Right.
Nowadays they say, the rounded rims, the pressure is created, then the high pressure is created, then it's dumped. You know, all those high tech. It's all aviation basically. It's all aerodynamics. They're talking about.
Yes.
So it's technologically wise, material wise,
it's similar.
It's very similar.
Fiber.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Right.
Titanium, carbon fiber. You're talking about all that Kevlar. Everything is all aviation only.
Your father also was a cyclist and also in the airline industry. So do you think that this correlation, that you also picked up the same thing? Do you think that it has come from your father, or naturally you were instinctive towards that?
Yeah, I always wanted to become a pilot. I always wanted to become an Air Force pilot. But somehow or the other, I turned into a commercial one. But flying was a passion, just like cycling. Enjoyed it till I enjoyed it. I did it, and when it started becoming a job, or it started becoming, there was no enjoyment left in it. So I said I had enough of it, and I quit.
So right now you've retired from.
Yeah,
flying.
I've resigned. I resigned from Air India. I'm not doing anything else. Happily living in Lonavala, peaceful life.
So you've recently relocated after retiring from Mumbai to Lonavala. You know, so relocation. How has it changed the way you look at life now? How has it changed your training and perspective?
Training is a lot more. I get to do a lot more road training because the conditions here are much better. The down part about it is in Bombay, I would train with my team. So it was a bit more fun. It's fun here also, but here you are totally alone. So your training maybe makes you a bit more stronger. You're facing the wind all the time. You don't have wheels to sit on, nothing. But it's much better over here, the weather. Health-wise, if you see overall health-wise, physical and mental health, it's peaceful. There's no hardly any stress. So very simple life I have. Go to sleep early, get up early, go for training, listen to music. What else do you want, man? Good life. Eat good food.
I'm sure. So how does a perfect training day in Aastad's life look like?
In Lonavala? Okay. 5 o'clock up. 6:30 on the road. Depends on the session. If I'm doing a short, hard one or a long, depends. Maybe by 8:39 back. If I'm doing a long one, maybe 9:30, 10 back. Sit in the garden, lovely breakfast. Lot of eggs, 4-5 eggs for breakfast. Maybe snooze around. Maybe go to sleep for a couple of hours. If I get sleep, I'll definitely try and sleep for maybe 2 hours. And listen to music, watch some TV, have an early dinner, and go to sleep.
Next day again, repeat. So it's rest, ride, repeat.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I love it.
Combination. Of course. You've done all the running so many years.
Yeah.
And
so now I love to live and love to stay at home.
Yeah.
In fact, she pushes me, tries to tell me, "Hey, let's go out," and poor thing. So it's perfect for me. It's perfect, and a lot of support. See, I couldn't have done this because till my wife was agreeing to it. See, a lot of people want to do it, but their wives don't want to move out of Bombay, or they have some social life and some friends. So I had full support from Sherry. Sherry was very supportive. She's very supportive with my sport also. Poor thing, sometimes she'll get up and make chai for me also at 5 in the morning. So it's like very supportive. So that makes a big difference. And she loves, and we both love the same kind of lifestyle.
Correct.
So we are happy over here.
That is very beautiful, you know.
See, COVID opened my eyes, you know. I saw in COVID, you know, how people were just dropping like flies. 2 of my pilot friends passed away. And then I said, you know, it's just playing with your health and playing, it's not worth it. And I was in a position in which I could quit. I had no loans on my head. I had nothing and I looked at my finances, and for a basic simple life, I had enough. So maybe I'll do something. I don't know. Maybe. Let's see.
Right.
It has to come from inside. Maybe with cycling.
No, I think the canvas is wide open with so many years of cycling and the experience that you carry. Because today, every street has a coach, but the experience is not that everyone has in their pocket. So
that's absolutely right. And coaching, because I want to coach, but my style would be totally different. I can't do something which I don't agree to or I don't do, and I can't do it just for commercial purposes. So it's totally different because my style would be of coaching would be totally different. It's not numbers based or because you know what is with cycling, anybody can go onto the net, Google a training program and start following it. But the trick of the trade is you should know what works for you. That's the most important thing.
I think, in any sport, the fundamentals don't change. Over the decades, how much our technology advances and the equipment advances, but the fundamentals remain the same. What are those 5 fundamentals according to you, which form the training part or the sport of cycling, which you would advise to a young guy who's have those all sensors and power meters by computer attached?
Oh, the guy, you mean to say a guy who wants to race?
Yeah, who wants to train and wants to become a, let's say...
First of all, dedication. This is not an easy sport. This is not a sport like cricket or something. You just do something in the nets. And I'm not against cricket, but it's a very, very difficult sport. Even swimming, athletics, even expensive. Let the expense be at one side. You have to be dedicated. You can only be dedicated if you love it. Secondly, physical fitness. It's not physical fitness. What I mean is, it's not just your training, it's your rest, what you're taking. It's how you adapt to the training. Because if you don't rest well, no training the best training program in the world won't work for you. Then strength, flexibility. If you see the basics, these are the things which you must have. Because without that base of strength, flexibility, if proper rest, you can't build up on the training. If you want to race successfully, you want to win, then you must have those things. Because you can't build up, you can't increase the training load on a person, otherwise that person will get injured or fall sick. Because if you realize, we might be athletes, we might be very strong, but when we do hard training sessions or we are in the peak, we are at our peak, our immunity is very, very low. Because the body is only concentrating on training and recovery. Your immune system is very low, especially after doing a very hard session for a couple of hours. Your immunity is so low, people actually the top athletes avoid going to public places.
Yeah.
Because one guy would cough and he will get it.
Oh. Because the body is so tired.
Because the body is only concerned about the recovery from the training session. So if you don't recover and if you don't work at it, you have to actually work at it. You have to find ways, because we are not professional. Nobody is a professional athlete. We are not only just doing cycling. People have to go to college. People have to go to work. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. You must find ways in which you can train smart. Quality is better than quantity. You can say, I've ridden so many thousands of kilometers in the year. But what quality? For people like us, if you want to race, then quality is... But if you can do quantity and quality, it's perfect. But if you can't, then quality is more important than quantity.
So your take would be, one is dedication. Second, you said, is strength. Third is rest and recovery.
And flexibility. Flexibility is a big part of it. I was a very, very bad flexibility I had as a child. I couldn't even touch my toes probably. I was a very stiff guy. So I worked very hard on my flexibility. That's why I'm telling you. I still do it. I still do almost a 40 to 45 minutes stretching session every day in the morning before I sit on my bike. No training session is without a stretching session before that.
It's a pre-bike, pre-saddle stretch.
And that habit was given to me by my dad.
Yes,
so, and because I saw the difference.
Right.
It's injury prevention also. It's not just your position on the bike or what. I'm not very flexible.
Correct.
But I have to keep on working at it. Otherwise I'll become very stiff.
Yeah.
And as you grow older, it's even more important.
You also mentioned strength.
Of course.
Which brings me to that one burning question everyone asks you. We want to ask you, is that what is the secret behind those...
Weight training.
Behind the engines.
Weight training.
But everyone does weight training. But still...
I don't know. I
those
don't...
sculpted legs that you have...
See, because basically, it's like, you changed from a 100-meter runner to a marathoner.
Correct.
So, that 100-meter runner trend is still there. It just can't go away.
I'm sure.
So, it's weight training. Yes, weight training is important. You got to weight train the correct way, not like a bodybuilder. Weight training is very important for power building. Especially when you get old, people don't realize, people think, weight training, muscle bada hoga, muscles will become big. No. Your bone density, especially as you get older, your bone density increases with weight training and exercise. Of course. Of course. And you are losing bone density. As you grow older, you're continuously losing bone density. If you don't use those muscles, it's not only your muscles becoming stronger, your bone density is increasing. That's the very, very important part. Actually, they say now for masters athletes, weight training is even more important. They should weight train throughout the year. First, we used to weight train only in the off season. I don't do it throughout the year, but now they are saying, and which I want to try, is you weight train throughout the year. For the master athletes, weight training is even more important than the youngsters.
That's weight training. Okay, and also
but in the correct way.
Correct.
You should have a correct person to teach you the correct exercises for cycling purposes. The correct way to weight train, not only the form of the exercise, how you're going to do the repetitions.
Yeah.
Are they going to be fast? Are they going to be slow? Because there are certain phases of weight training you go through.
I think, there's so much information out there on how to train, and everyone's bodies are different. What do you think, what approach a person should take to train in a very holistic and...
That's what I'm saying. Now, see, are the other influences in your life, the other things in the environment you're living in, work pressure, family pressure, and physically what you are. So if you try to copy, A rider tries to copy B rider, it's not going to work. So you got to find out what works for you. But basic things are, if you don't have much time, quality more than quantity. And make sure you have a trainer at home. In a city like Bombay, where you can't train, if you miss the morning slot, your training day is gone. So make sure you have a trainer at home. So either a roller or a home trainer, whatever, you get all these now very fancy smart trainer. I don't think so. It's that important, whether it's smart or it's stupid or whatever. You gotta have a trainer aid at home in which you can ride your bike on. So that's the best way. You can do it anytime. You can do any session. See suppose you are going to do an interval session, which is almost certain interval sessions are almost impossible to do on the road in Bombay. At least for me, it becomes too dangerous. Because it's not only the time of the hard riding, the rest period in between also is very important to give you that effect of the training. So on the home trainer, you can do it. No, nothing to stop you, nothing to obstruct in your way, and you can do it the session is much more faster. You're sitting on the home trainer, do a warm-up, do your quality session. In 1.5 hours, you're done with a super session,
It's much more time efficient.
Definitely.
Correct.
Definitely. And if you're riding rollers, especially for the youngsters, they must ride on the rollers because your riding style improves, your core strength improves, your balance improves, everything improves.
Right.
I still ride the rollers. I don't use any...
Oh, you're still on the
rollers. Yeah, the barrel rollers is simple.
Any particular reason why?
I can't. I've tried riding the trainer, but I just don't get the feel as if I'm riding my bike on the road.
Right.
I can't be fixed to one position and ride.
That's good to know. So now we'll proceed towards the next leg in our conversation. Cycling worldwide is becoming very competitive, and not only cycling but any other sport. And today it takes a lot to reach at the optimum level. Recently, I was reading news that many of the pro cyclists are dropping out of the sport because the sport is becoming very mechanical and less of fun. People who joined cycling, for the sake of enjoyment, for the sake of passion, are now leaving the sport because it's becoming too mechanical and you have to work like a machine. So what's your take on that, on a sport becoming so competitive, and what's the way forward?
See, if you're a professional, that's what the word says, professional. That means that's your profession. You're being paid to do the job. Of course, you'll have stresses. Of course, there'll be a lot of stress from your team, from your sponsors. The guy is paying you to do cycling. So there'll be a lot of pressure. The competition levels are super high, man. So I can understand the stress levels they must be going through, but that's the part of the job, because they have chosen to be professionals. There are now, the sport has become so fast. If you see the races now, it's just incredible.
So see, there are many young lads out there who want to make it big in cycling. We hear so many stories and we receive so many emails on a daily basis that, I love cycling and I want to become a national champion and I want to represent the country at a global scale. And there's so many people who also see the Tour de France and idolize themselves into participating in such events one day in the future. What is your advice to the young generation out there today who aspire to become professional cyclists?
Okay, if you want to become a professional cyclist, I think you got to relocate. Maybe to the US or to Europe. Because, sorry, but I don't see any way happening over here. You might reach the national level, you might reach the Asian level. But to reach, if you're talking about the Tour de France, those are the best riders in the world. Even all professionals don't get to ride the Tour. So, you got to have the financial resources if you have them and the dedication. It's a tough life to race in Belgium, to race in a couple of our guys have been doing, Naveen John has been doing it, and I've been reading about a couple of guys going there, getting the experience. Yeah, it's a good thing. But they have to start at a younger age. They have to get the financial support for an Indian to live in Europe and just do cycling. It's a huge thing, it's huge money. So if you have the resources, if you have the sponsorship, if you have you're from a very, very well-to-do family and who is willing to take that leap. And look at people like us. I'm a qualified professional. I think Naveen John is also a qualified professional. So it's not that you can't do both at the same time. You have got to find a balance. If you're dedicated enough, it's possible. Of course, I'm not at that world level or in any level like that. But for me to reach the national level was quite a tough task because of the thing flying and doing all the other things in life. So if somebody aspires to be in the Tour de France, he's got to race abroad.
Correct.
Because Tour de France is a professional event. First of all, the top professional teams are invited. So you got to reach that level, and you can only reach that level by racing over there. Because you can't replicate racing in training. It's just not possible.
It's not possible. Yeah, especially the climate, the food.
Not that, the intensity. You can train, you can say I'm training as hard as possible, but you can't replicate that kind of intensity.
I'll quickly, rewind a little bit and go back when you were studying and cycling both, because you got so much early success and you were winning at an early age. Was there a point in time when you thought that, okay, let me become a professional cyclist? Or was there a point where you had to make a decision that whether shall I continue to become an airline pilot or, drop pursuing cycling professionally?
Thanks to the guidance from my dad, because we knew that there was no thing as a professional cyclist. There was no thing, you can't take it as a profession. You know what will you become? You'll join the railways, you'll get a job in the railways. There are people who are doing well. They are graduates, they have studied, they're graduates, so they get a good position in the railways. But that's about it. Or you get in the army or the Air Force or whatever. So, and I've always wanted to fly. So it was very clear right from the beginning that that's not a possibility. There's no thing like a professional cyclist in India. I can understand now the things are changing, people are working very hard. But I would always advise the kids, have a backup. What happens if you injure yourself badly? What happens in that case? You can't perform at that level. Who's going to support you? Once your form is gone, then what are you going to do? Suppose you have got that kind of you're in a situation in that, because cycling is a sport in which you can get injured very easily.
Correct. That's very much true. I think having a backup plan is something
definitely
which works.
Because you got to live your whole life now. You'll cycle till the age of 35, maybe 40. But after that, what?
I'll just dig a little more deeper into this. Young generation, suppose someone has a passion for a sport and his family is with them. They have little more means than others. But there comes a point in which they have to take decisions, whether to go big bang in the sport, give all their effort all out and try to see if they're able to make it to the international level. And we see 1 in a million cases they are able to make it, and we see them winning. Because there is no one cheering you when you're training, when you're practicing, but everyone claps for you when you win.
Yeah, exactly.
The podium.
Everybody wants to take a picture with you, then everybody comes next to you, the guys.
Yeah, no one knew who Manu Bakir was and who...
Correct. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So, no one supports you. Your parents are only with you and the world is against. You have to fight all odds to reach
100%.
A point to do something. Your father, he's a national swimming champion and a national cycling champion. He fought the world to become that?
Definitely, because now today, if today let me give you an example. Like suppose it's an arbitrary example. The guy works very hard. Okay, because nowadays if you have to qualify for the Olympics, it's not a direct qualification. You have to have those number of UCI points in your hand. So you have to race in those UCI races to get those points. Then only you will qualify for the Olympics. So if you are the cost, if you're going to do it by yourself without the support of the government, it's going to be massive. You have to relocate, you have to race abroad, and you have to win. You have to be seeded abroad to get those points. Then you qualify for the Olympics. Now, if suppose somebody does all that, and something happens, and he doesn't get along with somebody in the association, and they don't send his entry, what is he going to do? See, those things should be guaranteed. That's where the sports infrastructure comes into the picture, because it's not possible for an individual to do it at that level.
Now, let's take one more example in this leg. Let's say badminton. Okay, we've recently won the silver medal, and we've seen some success on the international stage in badminton. And many other sports that are accessible have little bit of infrastructure, but still we are not able to make it big in that sport. What do you think is the reason why India, as a country is, the ratio is like poles apart to what our population is and what we win at global events? What do you think is lacking, and what would you say to parents who want to make their children?
So let's look at cycling. Let's look at cycling. Now the thing is, everything works with money is required for everything. Money and infrastructure. Now, if the sport is properly organized, means you have a proper calendar, you have proper races, then you can sell the sport to a sponsorer. Because the sponsorer is putting in his money because he wants publicity, right? He's got nothing to do with anything else. But if you want him to come in, you got to sell your sport well. For that, you have to be properly organized. So that is the main thing which is lacking, and it has to start from the grassroots levels. It has to start, like we don't have a track in Bombay, no velodrome. With the situation right now in Bombay, the traffic situation, if you want to get kids into cycling, velodrome almost becomes a must.
It's a safe space for them to ride,
And the best place to ride, all these top riders, you just look at the British plan. You don't have to even rack your brains. Bradley Wiggins, Geraint Thomas, all these top guys. Mark Cavendish, they've all come from the track. So you don't even have to you have to just copy their plan and do what they did. And for the government, I don't think so it should be a big problem. Your 250-meter track, how much space it's going to take? And you sell it well. You could have, in Britain, they have time trials, road time trials every weekend. They have 2 track meets every weekend, evening sessions. So people come from work, they could go and ride. So, and it happens all over the world. So you have these organized, you get sponsors. You get a sponsor, okay, we'll sponsor you, put your name on the track all over the place. Your job is only maintain the track. Nothing else. You just pay for the maintenance. And make sure that the people who are doing it do the proper job. That's the most important thing. Money can come from everywhere, but then...
So I think every city in India should have a velodrome. That would change the landscape of cycling.
Absolutely. And look at the amount of interest. The interest must have grown 500-fold from what we were cycling.
I know.
People used to look at us as if we are mad people. What are these guys doing on the road at 3 or 4:30 in the morning? People used to look at us like that. Nowadays, the people cheering you, they'll show you a thumbs up. Very good. So, and the amount of guys I see hobby riding, you go to Marine Drive in the morning, okay? The amount of top-end bikes which you see, just guys just wants to ride the bike around. So much of interest. Equipment is available. Make the infrastructure, there will be people who are coming. Only the cycling groups, there are so many cycling groups in Bombay, only they can come and fill up the stands in your track. What I'm trying to say is that you can form ways, and infrastructure wise, it's not a big cost at all.
It's not a big cost having
you don't have to have a cricket stadium or something which is huge maintenance, huge size. A 250-meter track. And it's just not used for cycling. You can make the center, you can make something for skating.
Multi-purpose. It's like a multi-purpose thing.
You can do indoor sports, you can have a high jump, long jump, things like that in between. Whatever you can have, you can make running, and it's been done all over the world.
I'm sure. No, I think, we wish that we have more velodromes, and it will like so for example, bike parks. It will something for sure be in the future.
Definitely, I've seen places which have got concrete tracks and they're well maintained. In South Africa, I'm talking about Durban. I used to always go and visit a velodrome in that city wherever I went.
Few rapid fire questions before we wrap up. First is rim or disc?
Rim.
Why?
Because I ride a rim. Okay. No, okay. Rim or disc, okay. Rim brakes have been there for ages. Maybe more than 100 years now. With our kind of racing, what we do, I don't think so you would require disc brakes. Second thing is, disc brakes, maybe they are better in the wet, but you are not racing at those speeds in the wet. Secondly, cost. If you're having a rim brake bike, you have 2 or 3 bikes like I have, all are rim brake. You have invested in wheels, so you got to change everything. If you can bear the cost, it's okay. If you are just buying one bike, go for a disc brake bike. I'm not saying no. But then maintenance. It's much easier to maintain a rim brake than a disc brake. There's a lot of things are involved with a disc brake. Hydraulic fluid. I feel that I don't know whether I've had a problem with my mountain bike in which the fluid has leaked out and I had to use one brake. So.
Alright. Second one is, which is the most beautiful destination you've cycled in, or which is one dream place you'd like to?
I'll tell you the most beautiful destination, Germany. I used to have my own mountain bike there, and I used to do a lot of postings in Frankfurt. So I've cycled lots around Frankfurt. Beautiful.
And the third is, which is the most beautiful airport you've landed in or had the best experience at?
I've landed in just once in Larnaca in Cyprus. So that was very beautiful. It was just above the beach. You were almost those guys. You can see those guys very close, and you went touched on. Yeah, that's maybe one of the.
Okay, great. And last, to just close this, Aastad, what is that one message you'd like to put across in the universe to anybody, young kid who's watching and who wants to do something in the field of sport or anything extracurricular in life?
You must do sports. To the parents also, encourage your kids to do sports. The kids will automatically know how to take care of themselves, their bodies especially. They won't get into any bad habits. I think that's the crust of it. Get them to do some kind of physical activity, and the physical activity should be such that the child can continue it for the rest of his life. You the best investment you can make for your kid. Because with the stressful life which we are leading in the cities now, you see how many people are getting diseases which were never there. I think it's very important.
So at Scott, the tagline is #NoShortcuts. Means any achievement, there are no shortcuts to success. You have to do your hard work and earn that. What does the no shortcuts philosophy mean to you?
No shortcuts, absolutely. There are no shortcuts. If you want to achieve something and be the best, not best at that thing, be the best of what you can be at that thing. There are no shortcuts. It's all hard work. It takes time and it takes perseverance. Main thing is that. So don't give up. Just keep on working at it. Ups and downs keep on coming. But if you just stick to if your aim is right, I think you will make it. At least you'll be the best of what you can be.
Correct,
at that.
Correct. There will be no regret. You did your best.
Absolutely. There's no regret.
All.
Exactly.
So
there's no regret.
No, Asad, I think that's very well said. And it's a great message to everyone out there. It's been great chatting to you. And you've learned so much. Learning about your family, the cycling lineage that you have, and the legacy that you've carried. And today, whenever I talk to a friend and I mention your name, there's a lot of respect that comes in our eyes for you, which you've gained with your, being so honest and very authentic in your riding and in person. So thank you very much for your time and for having us here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming to Lonavala.